Hello and welcome to Transformation Now, which is a division of SoaringHigher.rocks. And yes, it does. I'm Rita Rocker Kraft, and as a speaker, author, and trainer, my heart and my passion is to work with people in self-esteem, self-image, career development programs, professional image, and business etiquette. And so today I really have a special one today. We're going to talk about you as a valuable instrument and talk about some great memes and some things that are here to encourage you, to lift you up and help you as you go forward. Because right now things are kind of strange in the world, and we need to keep motivated and continue to look forward no matter what is happening at present. And I came across this that I had for a long time now, and it's called the Stradivarius, which of course is probably the most expensive, most valued violin in the entire world. And so what this little story says is, in his 1968 book, Life More Abundant, Charles Allen told of a great violinist who thrilled his audience with his playing. At the end of the piece, he shocked onlookers by actually taking his violin and smashing it over a chair. Well, the audience was absolutely aghast and wondered, how could you do that? This was so beautiful, and you just smashed it. You just destroyed it. And he said, don't be alarmed. He said, the one that I smashed was purchased for just a few dollars down the street. So it was considered of no value because it was inexpensive and it was in a old shop. Okay, so he said, I shall now play my Stradivarius. And so he played the same selection as he had before, but most listeners could not tell the difference. Wow. Then the violinist said, friends, so much has been said about the value of my violin that I wanted to impress you that the music is not in the instrument. The one who plays it, that's where it is. That's what it's all about, is the one who plays the instrument. We are all instruments, and I think that's really exciting if we start to think about it. And so it says, how often do we think that it takes special people to make a big impact in the world? But you know what? You're an instrument, and you have so much music inside of you. But God, who plays his perfect music, can use any willing instrument. We just have to be willing to be played as a beautiful instrument. You, me, anyone who puts their hands, their heart into God's hands. You know, none of us are perfect instruments. And by that I mean we can always find things about us, how we look, our finances, what people have said about us, things we don't like about us or our living arrangement, whatever. So none of us are perfect instruments, but the musician, that's what's inside of you. All your gifts, all your capabilities, everything that you have, the gifts are inside of you. Just like the musician who played the violin. The gift was in him, his ability to play, not in a cheap violin versus an extremely expensive one. And so you make the music. And I think that's so awesome. Think about it, all the ways that you can make your own music for yourself, for your family, for your life, for this country, everywhere, because you have that gift, that music inside of you. What do you want to play? Do you want to play something beautiful, something fun, something crazy? And there's a lot of odd music right now that's actually very destructive. But we want to play the beautiful music. That's what you're gifted for. And so, you know, you think about life being hard knocks, the school of hard knocks, and that is so true. I saw one meme that said, you know, life knocked me down a few times. It showed me things I never wanted to see. I experienced sadness and failures, but one thing for sure, I always get up. And that's so important. We always get up. We just keep going. We get up. You know, school of hard knocks for me, obviously, and I've shared this, so I won't spend more than a minute on it, but you know, growing up fairly poor and feeling like I was worthless almost my whole life, and going through a lot of domestic violence and abuse and sometimes not knowing exactly where I was going to even live or what I was going to eat, and just destructive relationships and caregiving for people and divorce and being widowed and just a ton of things, a lot more than that, and many, many serious surgeries. But we get up, we continue to shove, wipe our knees off, and we get back in there. And as I've also shared before, if you are not being treated with respect that you deserve, because you do, check your price tag, because maybe you have marked yourself down or you've let someone else mark yourself down. And they can't do that. Nobody has the right to do that. So it's you who tells people what you're worth by how you allow them to treat you, by what you accept. So if you feel like you're on the clearance rack right now, I'm going to ask you to take yourself and put yourself behind the glass and the counter where the valuable jewels are, because that's really who you are. Learn to value yourself. Okay, that's so important. Learn to value yourself, no matter what you've heard or experienced in your entire life. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you are. Okay, that's so important, because so many times we attract what we don't want. Believe that you are special, that you are valuable, that you're a child of God. So my gosh, if you're made in His image, you're pretty darn awesome. So believe that, because it's the truth. Don't worry about those who talk behind your back. They're behind you for a reason. Would you stop and think about that for a minute? Because a lot of times we're hurt by things that we know were said, and maybe they got back to us. But think about that. They are behind you for a reason. So you keep going forward. You show them what you're made of, and you prove to yourself what you're made of. They're behind you for a reason. Always know that, and put your chin up and be proud and grateful that you're ahead, you're in front, and that's where you belong. That's what you deserve to experience. I've shared before about a picture where it shows a little kitten, and it's looking into the mirror, painting what it thinking, I'm painting myself. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm painting, but what I'm painting over here is actually a great big tiger, a fierce tiger. And a lot of times we're going to have to paint a different picture of us to be that fierce tiger, even though what we see in the mirror, maybe we don't like so well. We don't like our size. We don't like our shape. We don't like what we look like. There's so many reasons, but think about painting a picture of yourself that's strong and that's courageous. And so think about that. What kind of treatment do you expect? Because we get what we expect. If we expect to continue to be put down, if we expect to live in a low-level job, because we're afraid to try for something else, we continue to pull in and get what we expect. So I want you to start really expecting the good that God has for you, because there is so much good out there. And I know, again, right now life is really tough. Most of my life has been extremely tough, but expect the good out of this. There will be a good day coming up here, and you can move forward then. Just trust Him. Reflect what you desire, whether it's kindness, respect, friendship, thoughtfulness. Okay, that's what you want to reflect to other people, and in return, they will give it back to you. Mirror what you admire. And so when you think of looking in the mirror, what do you see? You want to mirror what you admire in other people. Let them see that coming back at you. That is so important. Never let failure at a particular thing define who you are. And I've shared a lot of this before, but famous failures, again, Michael Jordan was told he was a failure. Steve Jobs, who started Apple, was kicked out of his own business. Oprah Winfrey said she wasn't right for TV. Walt Disney was turned down, and he couldn't even work at a newspaper because they said he didn't have any creativity. The Beatles were said they had no quality of music and they'd never amount to anything. Albert Einstein didn't talk till he was about 4 years old, and then he was told that his teacher said, oh, he's never going to amount to anything. Albert Einstein. And so think about that. If you've never failed, you've never tried anything, right? So when you do fail, that's just a step forward. Now you know what not to do, and you go forward and try the next step. So always look at those as steps. Hey, this is a step. I'm going to step down on it. That one didn't work. Now I'm going to take the next step up to something greater, and I can do this. Again, never letting anybody's opinion say what you're worth, your value, anything like that. Always look at those as stepping stones. And instead of just thinking about stepping up a step, I want you to think about really stepping down on that step. I'm going to smash this one. Didn't work. Now I'm going forward. I'm going up. Always go up. Keep looking up. You know, I love the butterfly. That's kind of a symbol that I've always had, because butterflies go through so much in order to become beautiful creatures that fly around and do so much, and people really enjoy them. But there are so many attempts to get out of the cocoon. And, you know, just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it became a beautiful butterfly. And if you've seen a caterpillar in the cocoon, we're like, ugh, you know, because it's all broken down, the caterpillar literally turns into a pile of goo, just nasty goo, and it's in this little container, in this little shell, and it's hanging from a branch or somewhere, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at this thing. And sometimes people have tried to free the butterfly when they could see that it was starting to form and was struggling to get out of that cocoon. But when they did, they pulled it out when the wings were too weak. They weren't strong enough yet to take care of itself. And they died. And so always think about the struggles that we go through sometimes too as that caterpillar. But inside that goo, there's a little membrane. And in that membrane is the feelers, the eyes, the wings, everything, as it struggles to recreate itself. And so if your life maybe has turned into a pile of goo because of all the struggles that are going on, think about that butterfly, read about it, study about it, because what it does then is it keeps struggling and it keeps working at it, but as it does, its wings get so strong and it comes out of that, no longer goo, like sometimes our life feels, but something that's beautiful and that people really enjoy, and it's free to fly, just like we want to be always. You know, I saw another one that talks about, we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit to the changes that it's gone through to be that beautiful butterfly. Just like us, so many stories, so many people, no arms, no legs, different things, and yet they've strived and they've gone forward and they've been successful because they did not let that struggle or feeling like they weren't a whole person keep them down. Struggles to get out of bondage or fear maybe don't feel good, but they're certainly worth it. So keep fighting, keep building up, getting stronger every day. You know what happens when you get your wings? Well, a lot of things can happen, especially with family and with friends. You know, there's one here by someone named Dean Jackson, and it says, when she transformed, and this is for men too, but it just happens to say she, when she transformed into the butterfly, the caterpillar spoke not of her beauty, but of her weirdness. They wanted her to change back into what she had always been. But she had wings. Okay, so whether you're male or female, this would apply to you. You know, a lot of times we're in that familiar area with family, with friends, co-workers, whatever the case may be, and it's like, I don't want to stay here. I want more than this. So we go through that metamorphosis, that transformation. Metamorphosis meaning a striking change in appearance, character, or circumstances, usually by supernatural means, which I consider God. You might have a different thought. But what we're thinking of is, oh, this is familiar, this is going to be hard, this is going to hurt, I don't know if I can go to school, I don't know if I can get out on my own and provide for myself, and all these things like that. But when you get your wings and you go, no, I'm going to do this, I want to do this, this is really me, I'm not going to stay in this life anymore. People that you were close to go, well, that person's weird, that person, I don't like that person anymore. Why? Usually because they're upset that they're not at that level too. You know, someone, I won't mention their names, but someone very, very close to me worked hard from the time he was just a young kid, worked very hard, going to school and work. And so his brother had gone off to, you know, be in the military and the wars and stuff, and so they didn't see each other much for many, many years as younger adults. And then they got together for a family gathering, and his brother looked outside, saw that this person had a very nice car, and he knew that he had a nice home. And so what did he do? He started swearing at him with words that I can't say, and he picked up his took his wife and 2 kids, walked out to his car, and left. Because he didn't like the fact that his brother had worked and achieved something, and he didn't feel like he was in the same category. So he left, and he only saw him one time after that, and that was at the mom's funeral. That was it. And so why do we do things like that? Sometimes people just can't stand the fact that you moved forward to your heart's desire, using your capabilities, but they couldn't handle it. And so think about that too, about feeling weird. You know, we change for 2 reasons. One is that we either learn enough that we want to change, that we don't want to stay where we are, or that we've been hurt enough that we know we have to. We want to go on. We want a better life. We want a strong life. We want good things. And so again, maybe it's because it's familiar, we're afraid to change, but we go forward. And do what we want to do, not what a parent or a teacher or someone else said that we needed to do. You know, I remember that, I had several stories that I've shared before, but of a young lady that saw a young woman who she thought was overweight. She didn't look very nice. She didn't think she was very smart. And so she bullied her through upper high school, and then she bullied her and picked on her. Well, several years later, this woman who had been the bully went and interviewed at a job and didn't even realize at first this was the gal she had bullied. Only now, she was a grown, successful woman with a company, and she was interviewing the bully. Well, you know what happened there? It's like, karma hit her back with it, and this lady didn't get the job she really would like to have had because this was the gal that she originally bullied. And so a lot of times things do come back to bite us. So we always want to think of that too. You know, Dancing with the Stars was the first time I actually had seen a gentleman named J.R. Martinez. And a lot of you are familiar with him. He's Hispanic. He dealt with a lot growing up with the braces and the acne and just feeling like he didn't look very good and all of those things. And then when he went to war to help protect us, he was badly burned overseas in Iraq. And he was dancing on Dancing with the Stars, and even though he'd had several surgeries, you could see he was still quite scarred. And this man was such a blessing because, again, he's saying, you can't change what's going on around you until you start changing what is within you. So even though he had these issues on the outside where a lot of people then are very embarrassed, they don't want to be seen, he actually got on a TV program that had millions of viewers and showed them, hey, you can be what you want. Beautiful heart, beautiful soul, just a really accomplished man who's married, has, I know, at least 1 child, maybe more than that by now. J.R. Martinez, look him up. He was another example of going forward no matter what has happened to you. You know, there's another meme here that I like, and it says, when you're comfortable in your skin, even your flaws look beautiful. And once you've embraced your flaws, no one can use them against you. That's what happened with J.R. Martinez. That's what happened with another man who during the war had lost, I don't remember, his right arm and his left leg or something like that. And he actually danced beautifully because he was not even going to let that get him down. So once we've embraced our flaws, hey, nobody can use them against us. We're strong, we're powerful. And we know that we have so much to offer other people. So whether it's arms, legs, some people have vitiligo where their skin is like 2 drastically different colors. And it's like, no, I'm worthy. I'm beautiful. I can do what I've set my mind to do. There's a gentleman named Nick Voichovic, born with no arms and no legs at all, nothing to even put a prosthetic device on, just one little flipper that would be should have been a foot. But this man wanted to commit suicide when he was just a little kid because what he looked like. And he couldn't do anything anybody else did. But he's an international speaker and author. And when he speaks to schools or any kind of conferences or anything like that, they set him on a table. So instead of standing, he's on a table. And he talks to these people, and the audience is just like awestruck. and what he says and what he does and the beautiful heart he has. And he's married to a beautiful woman, and he has 2 children. So again, no matter what we're thinking about ourselves, just think about that go forward, no matter what has happened, no matter where you are. Attitudes that make us can also break us. Our attitude is everything. I remember when I shared with you before about the little wiener dog that was chasing a big rhinoceros, and it was all about attitudes that overcome. And here's this little dog, and you can see the rhinoceros running, and this little guy is chasing him because he knew how strong he was and didn't let the size keep him from doing what he wanted to do, which I guess was go chase the rhinoceros and show him who was boss. And so one of the things that I saw with that is there was like a motivational test, and it was given from teachers to students, okay? And so it says, this kid will go far in life. That's what the teacher said. And these were adults later on in high school. So what the paper said is, it says, fill in the solutions, directions. For each of the problems, come up with a solution for each one. So it had a set of problems in a box, and showed the problem, and then in another box right next to it, it said solutions. And so the problem that was listed was, you fell on the playground and scratched your knee. The solution the kid wrote down was, get up and deal with it. And I love that, because it's like, hey, yeah, get up and deal with it. That's what I've had to do so many times. And when I've spoken to groups, and sometimes they hear my testimony, it's like, oh, how'd you deal with all this? You get up, brush your knees off, and you get back in the race every time. There was an African-American lady toward the turn of the century, and she put what they called queenisms, and just awesome words, awesome wisdom. And so she said, she decided that every time she walked out the door, she was going to say to herself, no matter what happens today, it's going to be a grand adventure. I'm bold, brave, and I'm going to enjoy it. So sometimes we just have to get that stiff upper lip and go, yeah, me too, I'm going to do that. And so one other one that says, never quit. If you stumble, get back up. What happened yesterday no longer matters. Go on. Today is another day, so get back on track and move closer to your dreams and goals. You can do it. And I remember when Miss Nebraska a few years ago had she was at Miss America. It was the actual pageant, and they showed some ladies on the side that were sitting down at a different time during the pageant, and for some reason her dress was up too far, and you literally saw her underpants. And it was like people are just going aghast and saying all these things on Twitter and Facebook and everything immediately. And that could have mortified a lot of women and go, oh my God, what did I do? Now I'm an embarrassment. How can I even finish my term? She goes, no, I'm not letting that affect me. We're done here. And so she went on and totally ignored it and went past it. And I think sometimes we have to do that same thing, is we have to go, nope, okay, it was a little flub up, but we're done here, we're going on. So if you stumble, make it part of the dance. And like I like to say, put your raincoat on. If you're in the rain or a hard time, a storm in your life. Well, what's a raincoat? It could be all kinds of things. It's your protective device, which could be positive confessions, positive music, definitely positive friends, supportive people, relatives, anybody like that that could be a support, a covering for you. That's your raincoat. And sometimes we have to ask other people to be there for us and be our raincoat. And so I think about these little chickens. There's like 3 little baby chicks, and there's a wall that looks like it's about a foot high, and it's straight up. It looks like cement. So it's throwing these 2 little baby chicks down there, but the 3rd little chick is like climbing up, straight up to get, and it's almost there where it can put its little beak on the top there. And so even something like that wouldn't let it hold it down. It's like, nope, other people can't stop me, walls can't stop me, nothing can stop me. I'm going forward. And so as it said, when Glinda said in The Wizard of Oz, you've had the power within you all the time. You just had to learn it for yourself. So I'm telling you, you all have power. You all have brains. You are equipped with everything that you need to go forward, be a success, and get through the tough times we're having now, and then beyond that. So as I see this hand on a doorknob, it says, today I close the door to the past and open the door to my future. I take a deep breath, step through, and start a new chapter in my life. So again, you can do that too. You can write a new chapter. We all can. It's a matter of sitting down and praying about it, getting direction, and going forward. Not on what you think you can do, but don't think about how. Just know that you can, and start writing those things and taking steps, whether it's taking classes online, computers, praying for new friends, because God's faithful to give you new friends. He's done that to me several times, or whatever else you need. And just one closing comment is, be your own best friend forever. It says self-compassion is not judging yourself or allowing others to judge you. It's not blaming yourself. Getting to know and accepting yourself is what's important. And it's about forgiving yourself, loving yourself, helping yourself overcome insecurities, respecting yourself, and protecting yourself. And so those are so important, and I just want to encourage you with that. And stay tuned. I'm going to be talking about some other areas of mixing personal and professional life together that will be very, very helpful for you. So I look forward to seeing you next time. God bless.